Hello everyone and welcome back to our Manifesting Our Dream Life Challenge. So I hope you've already practiced day one, an introduction to manifesting, along with the meditation. I really do encourage you to practice the meditations as well, even though they're not completely necessary to the manifestation. I feel they help me so much in just tuning into where I am, busting any of those negative fear-based thoughts and allowing myself to let them go so that I give myself the space to manifest more abundance into my life. So today's practice and day two of our manifesting challenge is all about creating that conscious mindset and removing any blockages that we have to manifesting the life of our dreams. So this can be quite a difficult one because a lot of the time we're not even aware of a lot of our negative stories, our negative perceptions of things, and fear is something that is so inbuilt in us as a survival mechanism that it can be a really hard thing to, especially since it's an animal human instinct of survival, it can be really difficult to get out of the habit or being able to be aware of when we actually need to be in that survival mode because of our everyday lives and the amount of pressure we're all under, the amount of opportunities that are available to us, the never-ending goals that are available and dreams that are available to us. It can be that we often tend to see like small hiccups in our day or small failures in our life as massive threats to our worthiness. We can see them as basically the end of the road in terms of working toward our dreams or our goals, and we get into that kind of fight or flight energy where we see it as a complete threat to our livelihood. And that can be as small as failing to meet a deadline at work. That can be as small as hitting the snooze button in the morning and getting up later than you had planned. All of these things can start to build and create this kind of just negative aura around us where we see everything we do as a failure and a threat to creating a positive environment for ourselves. So today is going to be simply just creating that awareness and being in a conscious mindset where we can consciously be positive instead of unconsciously being negative. So for today's practice, you will definitely need your journal. I'd like you to get your pen and paper. You can pause if you haven't got it with you, and we're going to straight away get into our journaling. So before we get into our journaling challenge, I want to just share a little story or an experience that I have with blockages to manifesting a big dream of mine. So I lived in New York when I was 22 till I was 24. It was the best experience of my life, and I knew the first time I went to New York when I was 12, I knew that the moment I saw that skyline of New York when we were driving from the airport, that was home for me. It felt like home, and it still does. And basically since I lived there and I had to leave when I was 24, it has been like a heartbreak of mine that I just miss it so much, and I can't wait to, it just hasn't been the timing for me to move back with my career. I wouldn't be able to afford it, all these things, factors that I can't live there currently. But a little bit of insight into my kind of manifesting, wanting to move there eventually and live there eventually. Every time I see pictures of New York, which I'm sure you all know is a very regular occurrence on Instagram, in movies, it's basically in all movies, New York is like the backdrop, the place of dreams and fairy tales. There would be this like gut feeling where I'd see the photo, let's say on Instagram, of somebody I know that lives there, and I would just feel envy, I would feel jealousy, I would just, it was like this sick feeling in my stomach where I just was so annoyed that they were living there and I wasn't. Why not me? Why can't I live there? And this whole story and mood and energy would be triggered. So in the last few months, I kind of decided, wow, this just doesn't feel good. And also it's kind of giving me this belief system that New York is somewhere, or Manhattan is somewhere where they live, or people with money live, or people with success, or whatever it is, and it's not somewhere for me. And a little shift that I have created for myself is now that every time I see New York, I whisper to myself, New York is my home. New York is my home. I cannot wait to be in New York. I cannot wait to live in New York. I literally visualize myself day-to-day living in my imaginary home in New York. I thank the photo, or the person who shared the photo and the movie. I thank them for planting or replanting the seed for that dream. I thank them for being a reminder of New York being my home. And I, instead of attach myself to that negative story, that negative feeling, that resistance to what is. The resistance of my reality is that I'm not living in New York yet, and that I am living in Dublin. And within that resistance, I'm resisting where I am. I'm resisting my presence, my reality, and I am creating that energy of lacking, that energy of something that I don't have, and that desire can be quite a negative feeling and can create negative results. So when it comes to our dreams, it's really important to acknowledge those fears, so that we can see how fear is kind of trying to protect us in a way. Fear will try to put up those walls so that you don't get hurt, so that you don't get disappointed. So for me, always with New York, it was if I don't believe that I'll live in New York, if I resign myself to the fact that I'm going to live in Dublin forever, then I won't be disappointed. But then you don't work toward your dream. You don't open up to the possibility. You don't show up for the opportunities that you get, and you don't plan for what do I need to do in order to move to New York? What kind of career do I need? What kind of money do I need to make? These are all things that may be very difficult and currently might seem completely out of reach, but if you don't show up for the dream, if you put yourself away in that fear shaped box and just live in comfort, in the kind of illusion of comfort that fear gives you, then you're going to close yourself off to the miracles, to the magic, and that manifesting will allow you. So that will bring us now to our little mini challenge. So basically, our little practice today, we are going to try to acknowledge a big dream that we have. So basically what I want you to do is grab your pen and paper, and we're going to write down a big or small. It can be something small as well. If you kind of prefer to start small, that's fine. We're going to write down a dream of ours, and we're going to write it in the present tense. So for example, for me, mine is New York is my home, which in a way is true. And yeah, I want you to write that big dream or small dream down. You can do that now. You can press pause if it's going to take you a few minutes. And then I'd like you to write out limiting beliefs that surround that dream. This can be one limiting belief. For me, that could be simply that I can't afford to live in New York, or I'll never have a career that allows me to live in New York, or something like that. So you can write out a limiting belief that fear manifests within you. I then want you to write out the following sentences. Now I've written them down here, and I'll write them as well in the description box for you guys. I want you to write out, I forgive myself for how I was led by fear in the past. I forgive myself for how I was led by fear in the past. My past is not my present or my future. My past is not my present or my future. Today I choose to see the light and live in abundance. So you can write them out in your journal underneath, and I want you to come back to that dream that you have. I want you to acknowledge the fear that you used to have, forgive yourself for having it, and then literally just turn away from it and choose the light. So that is going to be our meditation that we're going to be doing today. We are going to be unveiling or lifting the veil of fear and stepping into the light. And if you want to practice that meditation with me, it's a really nice visualization meditation, and it will literally ground you in that light, that space of opening yourself up to your dream, opening yourself up to the opportunities that the universe is going to send you in order to step into your dream and achieve your dream. So yeah, if you want to practice with me now, you can turn over to the meditation, which is cute to come up next. I hope you enjoyed that little day 2, that short manifesting challenge, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thank you and well done for practicing today.